Hey guys, today I'll show you a horror thriller film named Mind, Body, Spirit. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins in a quiet house left by her grandmother in Florida, where an aspiring yoga influencer, Anya, was recording the latest episode of her yoga series, but not a hormone one. Wearing a practiced smile, she kept reworking her intro, finally moving from describing her channel's vibe to diving into the day's workout. Balancing on one leg, she stretched her body tentatively, but a slight misstep sent her crashing into a bookshelf. To her surprise, she discovered a hidden space behind it. Intrigued, she cleared away the obstructing furniture and uncovered a door. Carefully, she pried the rusty lock with a knife, wincing as the hinges creaked. She held her camera like an explorer, stepping inside to find dusty cabinets filled with countless jars and bottles. Though her grandmother had left her the villa, Anya had never met her and was curious to learn more. Heading to the second floor, she explored further, finding an eerie corner cluttered with cobweb-covered objects. Symbols adorned a musty cloth that hung over them, hinting at some sort of ritual site. A chill ran down her spine to her smelly butt, causing her to wonder if her grandmother was a witch of some sort. A strange noise in the darkness made her turn quickly, only to see a rope dangling from the ceiling. She pulled it, and a bundle dropped to the floor. Overcoming her fear, she opened it, finding a hefty notebook inside. To her amazement, it was written specifically for her by her grandmother. Her earlier unease melted away, replaced by a warm sense of joy. Hugging the notebook, she returned to the first floor to share her delight with her viewers. Anya had never met her grandmother because her mother had always prevented it. Flipping through the notebook, she discovered records of traditional Rasfian rituals. Mistaking them for a kind of spiritual healing like her own work, she felt a renewed passion for her yoga career, sensing a deep connection to her family's legacy. Setting the notebook aside, she resumed her practice, taking a deep breath as she bent forward. But then the camera, programmed to track movement, shifted its focus to the secret door, now inexplicably open. Anya, still absorbed in her session, was unaware her grandmother's spirit had been released. When she finally lifted her head, the camera had returned to its original position. After wrapping up, she called her mother, Lenka, back home to let her know she was safe. Casually, Anya addressed her mother as Luka, her grandmother's nickname for her, which made Lenka visibly tense. Correcting herself, she called her mother again with another name, which softened Lenka's expression. Concerned for Anya's safety so far from home, Lenka emphasized the fact that her grandmother, Varasha, was long gone. There was something ominous in that name. The mention of Varasha made the family dog at home start barking uncontrollably, but neither woman noticed the faint figure of her grandmother at the end of the hallway. Unaware of her mother's deeper feelings, Anya took the warning as an unnecessary fear, believing she could one day grow to be as wise as her grandmother. Lenka looked away with a bittersweet expression, hoping her daughter would return home before it was too late. Anya, however, misinterpreted her mother's caution as opposition to her ambitions, angrily ending the call. The next morning, a well-known fitness influencer, Kenzie, joined Anya's video shoot. They had grown up together, and Kenzie had agreed to help Lenka boost Anya's yoga channel after she moved here. However, a brief chat revealed a clash in their approach. Anya, inspired by her grandmother's notebook, wanted to incorporate rituals to help viewers find a deeper sense of self. Kenzie, on the other hand, dismissed these ideas as overly mystical, focused solely on quick follower growth. Without waiting for Anya to catch up, Kenzie lifted kettlebells and completed her strength routine in no time. After Kenzie left, Anya reflected on the experience, realizing Kenzie's methods didn't resonate with her. She took her grandmother's notebook and resolved to guide her audience in a mindfulness meditation that episode. Closing her eyes, she breathed deeply, focusing inward. Meanwhile, the camera began to rotate slowly, almost as if capturing some unseen presence. Circle after circle, her grandmother's shadow appeared in the background, flickering in and out as the lens lost focus. In the hazy glow, her grandmother leaned close to Anya, whispering in her ear. A shiver ran down Anya's spine to her smelly butt, jolting her out of her meditation. She brushed off the eerie feeling, smiling at the camera as she said goodbye to her viewers, later lying down to review her recordings before drifting off to sleep. As the night gradually blanketed the entire house, a secret door creaked open with a loud clang while Anya was fast asleep like a pig, stirring up a cloud of dust and revealing a pitch-black space behind it. In a sudden flash of light, Varasha appeared, her face masked, with a strange, sinister curve etched on it, a smile that seemed like a devil's twisted grin. The next morning, as soon as Anya awoke, she eagerly opened her notebook. The deeper she read, the more she felt it was a book of profound wisdom. Today, she planned to set aside her yoga practice to share the rituals documented within it with her audience, hoping it would allow every soul to reunite with its body and reach its ultimate spiritual center. For a more immersive experience and to engage more people, Anya took the notebook to the ritual space on the second floor, where she walked her viewers through the steps of this spiritual journey by candlelight. Flames danced in her eyes, her expression growing increasingly frenzied, though she remained unaware that her grandmother Varasha was slowly consuming her mind. According to the notebook, the first step towards self-discovery was to chant, guiding her voice back into her body to open her heart for the steps that would follow. Anya took a deep breath and, following her grandmother's notes, began chanting the ancient tune. Her voice grew louder, summoning Varasha's presence, her elderly, raspy chicken voice joining in harmony. A familiar shadow appeared on the floor. As the final note faded, Varasha slipped back into the darkness behind the secret door, marking the successful completion of the first phase. Anya then moved on to the next exercise, opening her body to welcome her soul's return. She bit her lip as she contorted her body into poses few could achieve. After 5 days of intense practice, Anya could finally hold the positions described in the book. Inverted and straining to support her slender frame, she looked like a creature ravenous for spiritual sustenance. For the third step, Anya took a thin cord to perform a throat cleanse to purge her body of impurities. This step seemed simpler than the previous one. She only had to swallow the cord and then pull it back out to complete the purification. Tilting her head back, she swallowed the cord inch by inch. Soon, she sensed something was wrong. The cord seemed to take on a life of its own, latching onto her throat and burrowing deeper. Her face turned red as she quickly grabbed the cord's end, pulling out a blood-smeared section until she finally removed the entire cord, along with a dark, foul-smelling mass. She hadn't expected to extract such toxins from her body. An instant later, a wave surged up her throat and she collapsed, vomiting thick, diabetic blood. Her body twisted as she screamed to the heavens, inching ever closer to becoming a vessel. Despite feeling a strange sense of relief after the purge, when Anya awoke the next day, she was still haunted by the eerie events of the previous day. She decided to delay her ritual practice and return to her meditation to calm her mind. But just as she closed her eyes, a distorted scream erupted in her head, urging her not to waste time on unnecessary activities. With no choice, Anya picked up the notebook again, practicing the second step repeatedly, though still unsteadily. 12 days passed, and she finally began practicing the fourth ritual. Only half a page was dedicated to it in the notebook, stating that many selves share one soul. When your thoughts are blind, you cannot see the truth. Puzzled, Anya remembered a note on another page about an herb that could cleanse the mind and body. Setting aside the riddle, she dashed to the second floor behind the secret door, found a cabinet of herbs, and selected one based on a symbol on the curtain. She prepared to brew the herb, narrating its effects to the camera as she waited for the water to boil. She grew increasingly talkative, her words spilling out endlessly until the kettle's shrill whistle pierced her ears, urging her to stop and drink. Sitting at the table, Anya took a small sip of the herbal brew. The bitter, burning taste shot straight to her core. Reminded of her quest for self-discovery, she forced herself to down the entire concoction. But no sooner had she set the cup down than her head began to spin, her breathing growing labored as her energy drained from her body. She collapsed onto the floor, unable to move. A triumphant, sinister laughter echoed in her mind, accompanied by thunder rolling outside. She seemed to see countless versions of herself wandering around the house, her heart pounding wildly in her chest. And then, Varasha appeared, clad in white, silently observing Anya, the granddaughter who was destined to become her vessel. Anya was jolted awake by the sound of a ringing phone. She picked it up but seemed to be in a daze, unable to remember who Lenka was, repeatedly echoing her mother's questions. Suddenly, a noise came from the corner of the room, prompting Anya to drop the call and grab a knife to investigate. After circling the room and finding nothing, she regained her senses and awkwardly resumed her conversation, brushing off Lenka's concern. Lenka, however, had picked up on the word "we" that Anya had casually mentioned, instantly panicking. Who could Anya be with this late at night? But another sound from the corner distracted Anya again, and suspecting it might be her grandmother, she hung up, leaving Lenka in a state of worry on the other end of the line. The next day, Lenka asked Kenzie to check on Anya. Kenzie, who wanted to support her friend's career, agreed to shoot another video to help Anya gain more viewers. But after just 10 days apart, Kenzie noticed that Anya had changed. She was no longer timid, but exuded an almost reckless indifference. After a casual opening, Anya tried to lead Kenzie into meditation, but Kenzie refused, feeling it didn't match her fitness-focused brand. She also didn't believe Anya could find self-discovery through Varasha's ragged old notebook. Kenzie thought Anya was becoming obsessed with the book, alienating her mother and friends in favor of serving this absurd figure of Varasha. Frustrated, Kenzie argued with Anya before deciding to leave. Before leaving, Kenzie remembered the camera was still recording and worried it might harm her reputation, made a move to take it with her. To her shock, Anya suddenly shoved her hard, revealing Varasha standing behind her, a figure Kenzie hadn't noticed before. Stunned, Kenzie cursed as she fled. Meanwhile, the ritual continued and Anya's behavior grew stranger. At nightfall, she awoke from a dream, straining to learn how to open her body, while Varasha silently picked up the dropped camera, recording the scene. Anya's journey of self-discovery was anything but smooth. Many parts of the notebook were written in an incomprehensible language, which she assumed was Russian. Desperate, she video-called her mother, asking her to translate the text. Lenka, seeing her daughter's gaunt face, only wanted her to come home and leave that creepy house behind. Tearfully, Anya admitted she regretted coming but felt trapped in this nightmare, with completing the ritual as her only way out. However, Lenka couldn't read the text either. It wasn't Russian. Frustration boiled over, and Anya abruptly ended the call. She held the pages up to the light, eventually deciphering the method to unlock the book's secrets. Anya rushed to the second floor and found a vial of potion in the medicine cabinet. Using the potion to wipe the pages, she revealed the dark magic hidden beneath the guise of wise words. It dawned on her that this book did not purify the soul. It was consuming her spirit to make way for Varasha's rebirth. Overwhelmed by regret, Anya realized it was too late. She was already deeply entangled with Varasha. Just then, Varasha appeared at the door and with a mere gesture easily subdued her to prevent escape. Anya woke on the second floor, aware that the ritual demanded a human sacrifice. Under Varasha's control, she was forced to lift a dagger to her forehead, the blade slowly piercing her skin as blood streamed down her sexy face. Terror consumed her and she pleaded with Varasha to spare her sexy life. In exchange, she promised to offer another soul, that of her friend Kenzie, with whom she'd argued days earlier. She called Kenzie, apologized, and spoke with sweetness, though a glint of malice flickered in her eyes. After pouring out her heart, she finally convinced Kenzie to come to the house. Kenzie was still unaware that she had already stepped into hell, still concerned about the scar on Anya's forehead. To ease the tension between them, Kenzie took the initiative to sit on the yoga mat, allowing Anya to guide her through an intricately planned routine. Anya led her into a pose described as comfortable for a corpse, which made Kenzie feel uneasy, wondering why her usually polite friend would use the word corpse to describe her. But wanting to preserve the fragile peace between them, she brushed off her uneasiness, relaxed her body, closed her eyes, and lay back on the mat. Taking advantage of the moment, Anya positioned Kenzie in a sacrificial pose, then quietly brought over a kettlebell. To Kenzie's shock, Anya swung it down onto her head, the impact sending tiny sprays of diabetic blood onto Anya. Strike after strike, Kenzie's skull caved in, revealing a mess of shattered bone and exposed brain matter. Even then, Anya wasn't satisfied. The rhythm of the kettlebell hitting the ground mirrored the beat of her own heart, and she only stopped when Kenzie's head was reduced to a pulp. Throughout the attack, the camera continued to record, capturing every moment as Varasha dragged Kenzie's body into the hidden door. Anya, kneeling on the yoga mat, stared intently at the newly arrived Varasha. She believed that sacrificing Kenzie would end everything, but little did she know her grandmother's final target was herself. In the next second, Anya's body twisted unnaturally, her wrists flipping over, her abdomen lifting upward until a loud snap of bones filled the room. Varasha had fully possessed her. Sitting by the floor-to-ceiling window, she looked out at the bright sunshine, feeling its warmth for the first time, while Lenka, still unaware that her real daughter was gone, kept calling, hoping Anya would come home soon. Varasha's lips curled into a smirk as she thought of her ever-resentful daughter. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.